Hey, what's up, everybody? JayC here with another live stream, Sunday live stream, and got a lot to talk about today. A lot of stuff came out this week. It was a busy news week, so um, we're gonna go over a bunch of things. But let's first see who is in the house. Quinn's Comics is in the house. Lord Vengar, All Music Fans 88 or Fan 88. Bullet 74, what's up? Man from Room V says Jay must be quickly finishing off those 6 cans he downed before every public showing. Warhawk Legend 69's in the house. Cool. So we got a pretty full house starting off. So welcome everybody. Uh, I figured I want to hear from you guys, what's on the top of your mind. Again, we had quite a few bits of news come out from various companies. Some Masters of the Universe Masterverse news this week. We got some Marvel Legend tidbits, and of course we got the reveal for the WandaVision Scarlet Witch figure, which, I had mentioned I was totally expecting to come on Monday. And only just based on the fact that they revealed the Vision the week before, I just had a feeling they were going to reveal the Scarlet Witch figure this week, which they did, of course. In fact, we got a ton. I mean, like Vision got one Marvel Legend figure and like a Funko Pop figure, whereas like Scarlet Witch, she got a Hot Toys figure. Well, Vision got a Hot Toys figure, but it was just the regular Vision, which I think they've done before, but I don't know. But Scarlet Witch got the Hot Toys, the Marvel Select, the Marvel Legend, the doll figure that's a Disney Shop exclusive, the Funko Pops, the bobbleheads. She got the work. So um, they rolled all that stuff out on Monday. I have to wonder, like, obviously this week there wasn't really anything for, MCU shows on Disney Plus. But I have to wonder, next Friday or this coming Friday, I should say, we're going to be getting the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And every day we get like a new video. Marvel puts up a new video promoting the show like every single day. But I have to wonder if they'll wait, if Hasbro will wait until the show's over. And keep in mind, there's only six episodes, so we've got 6 weeks until the series is over. I wonder if they'll start to reveal figures like during each week, like on a Monday, from the upcoming Marvel Legend Wave, or if they'll wait until the show's completely over and then they'll show us like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and the U.S. Agent and the Baron Zemo figures. It'll be curious how they do that, but I wouldn't be totally surprised if they kind of like. We see Baron Zemo in the first episode, and then we get the official Baron Zemo figure reveal the following Monday or something like that. Plastic Fortress is in the house. Sky Meebo, I think is how you say it. Collector, what's up? Geek Bolt. Can't wait to see what Power Rangers news you were hinting at for this week. I guess you're talking about my Twitter post. So I don't really know specifics, but I am expecting there to be some Power Ranger reveals this coming Friday on the 19th. I don't know how. I don't know if it'll be a live stream thing from Hasbro or if it'll just be stuff that goes up for pre-order or what. I don't have, again, I don't have a lot of specific details, but I have seen some indications that would suggest that we're going to get some type of Power Rangers reveals this coming Friday. So if you're into the Power Ranger stuff, I believe probably Lightning Collection stuff, but again, I don't have a lot of super specifics. But if you're into Power Rangers, you'll probably want to keep an eye out this coming Friday. If like we don't have enough going on Friday, we've got not only are we gonna have the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we're gonna have the Justice League Snyder Cut movie is going to premiere Thursday actually. I don't know exactly what time on HBO Max it's gonna pop up on. Apparently it's already leaked out like 2 different times on HBO Max where it was on there for like 2 seconds and then they pulled it down. So I don't know what was up with that. There was a new trailer that dropped for that just today, which actually looked pretty good, giving us a really good look at Darkseid and stuff. And then, of course, like I said, we're probably going to get some type of Power Ranger reveals on Friday as well. So, this coming weekend is shaping up to be a pretty busy time. The War Painter reviews. What's up, Henry G? What's up? How you doing? I'm doing good, man. You? Warhawk saying he needs some third-party Dinobots. I wish, or I wish Takara, I guess, would give us some new MP Dinobots beyond just Grimlock. I just got the RC, um, the MPRC. I went on. I waited a while, but I finally went on and got it. And not a bad figure. I mean, RC wasn't one that I was just dying to have. Same thing with like the next one with Skids. It's like, yeah, Skids isn't that exciting of a character. It's kind of disappointing he's already getting the MP treatment over others like Jazz or all the other Trailbreaker, Cliff Jumper. I mean, list goes on. Michael says, "Did I stop doing Wednesday live streams? I did for now. They just weren't seemingly people weren't tuning in that much, so I don't know if it's because it was Wednesday or if it's because the Wednesdays were kind of left to talking WandaVision spoilers. And of course, WandaVision's over, so this week there really wouldn't have been much to talk about. And I don't know how loudly I've made my feelings on WandaVision here on YouTube, but I did post like a review up on Marvelous News, and I've posted some thoughts on Facebook that, well, I didn't think WandaVision was horrible. I was one of those who felt let down, and then it kind of irked me when it seemed like the showrunners, the week before the final episode, when they realized that people were going to be let down from all the kind of teases that they had been dropping throughout the season, tried to downplay it, and then almost seemed like they kind of were blaming fans, like it's your fault. You were making up all these wild, crazy theories. I mean, God, why would we think that having the actor from X-Men, the Quicksilver actor from X-Men, would actually mean something more than just, a general character named Boner? I mean, God, I don't know why we would think that. So, and then I also just was not happy with how they ended up portraying Wanda in general, which had nothing to do with fan theories. I just thought it was essential. I guess it should go without saying we're talking WandaVision spoilers, but frankly, if you haven't seen it at this point, you're probably not going to. Um, I did not like how essentially Wanda essentially mind. Ah, Blake, I'm not seeing it here, but telling me you made a $50 donation. If that's true, that's weird. I haven't even seen Blake. Is Blake in the house? All right, that's really weird. The thing, like when people make super chat donations, popped up saying Blake made a $50 donation, but I don't actually see the official thing, and I haven't even seen Blake chime in here tonight, so I don't know if that was a glitch. But anyway, so I didn't like how uh essentially Wanda mind raped a whole town for at least a good couple of weeks, so she could live out her little fantasy life. And then like we were meant to, it's like they seemed to like make us want to feel sorry for her at the end. Like when Monica said, they'll never realize what you sacrificed for them. I'm like, what, bitch? She just like held this town of innocent people hostage for a week, imposing her thoughts on them. And they're supposed to be grateful for that, for something that she sacrificed. Give me a break. Everything she sacrificed, she had created herself. It's just, I was not terribly thrilled with the ending of the show. I thought it started out slow. The first three episodes, I thought, to me, were duds. But then the show started to pick up, and I thought they were really doing a good job. But then the way they ended it, to me, was just a total letdown. And not just because like fan theories didn't pan out, but just how essentially they portrayed Wanda at the end of the show. To me, it was just a really big letdown. So I mean, we did get a really cool outfit. I do love the Scarlet Witch outfit that she ended up with at the end. So that's a plus, but I just, to me, I was not thrilled with it. So that last week, I kind of sensed that I was going to end up being let down. Again, because the showrunners had started coming out and were trying to tamp down expectations. And so I didn't feel like gumming on here, which is what I'm basically doing now, and just kind of ranting about the show. But I don't know. We'll see how things go with Salome is here, everybody. We'll see how things go with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I don't think. I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier will be pretty straightforward. One of the things about why, not only did I think the showrunners just dropped a lot of little clues and everything, but I think one of the reasons why people were looking for something more in WandaVision is because, and this is my personal opinion, but I've never found Vision and Scarlet Witch to be super exciting characters, even in the comic books. And it's why I don't think they've ever been able to hold on to their own comic book series for any long period of time. And so I think we were just looking for something to be, more exciting than what we got. And I think the showrunners deliberately left clues to get people hyped up more than what they should have been, so that they would tune in each week. I mean, yeah, they've gotten some blowback here with people, being let down, but I think, I don't think they regret it. Everybody watched, everybody had been talking about WandaVision for weeks. The show, the hype of the show was far more than what I think. Even if you do like the show, it's hard to match up the hype that the show had with the ending of it, in my opinion. So I don't think they regret the hype. I don't think anyone, even people like me who was a bit disappointed in WandaVision, I don't think, it's not like I'm going to quit watching the MCU. It's not like, oh man, what, they didn't have Mephisto in the season finale of WandaVision? Screw that, I'm never watching an MCU movie or show again. I mean, it's just not going to happen. So there was little I doubt there was little repercussions for them overhyping the show like I feel like they did, without the payoff, because we'll keep watching, and I will probably go back and rewatch WandaVision again like I do some shows and movies. But like I said, I definitely was tuning in each week, like I think many of you were. Jerry says, I think Wanda would be a villain since the Avengers done with the MCU for now. Well, I mean, I don't see how she's not, I mean, there is no, she's kind of a villain, or she's not an anti-hero. She's a villain. She's, the way they've left it, she is 100% A1 a villain. There's no way of justifying what she did to those people in that town and not call her a villain. Worse than Doctor Doom in some ways. Now they might, have her do things at the end that, when we see her pop up in the Doctor Strange movie or something, where I guess we'll justify, or allow us to forgive her for her actions. But if this was the real world, she would be 100% a wanted and felon, and should be a wanted felon. For what she did, because it's totally inexcusable. Yes, she had tragedy in her life, but that didn't give her an excuse to do what she did to those townspeople. And, that's why, I don't know if I had considered fan theory, but I was really expecting there to be some influence in play, because the fact that they essentially said there wasn't, that clearly made her 100% a villain in my view, which I don't like. I don't like Scarlet Witch being a villain. So that's a big reason why I'm not terribly thrilled with how that show ended. Now, I do want to preference all of this by saying how we've been left here. So it's certainly possible down the road, again, like in the Doctor Strange movie or what have you, they could come back and say, oh, well, she was actually being influenced by Mephisto. We just didn't see it in the WandaVision series. So, they could come up with something to say she wasn't actually just totally acting on her own or stuff down the road to try and vindicate her in some way. We'll have to see if that happens. But right now, based on what we know, I thought how they handled Quicksilver was completely crappy. Now, again, if they come back later and say there's more to that than what they've left us with at this point, then maybe I'll revise my opinion. But right now, The way they handled that I thought was complete crap, and then the way they left Wanda I thought was complete crap. Kaz thinks the MP Transformers are overpriced. That's why I stopped collecting them. I don't totally disagree with you there. Especially like that RC. I don't think she should have been, over $100 like she was. I was actually kind of surprised how small she ended up being. I mean, she's scales well with the other figures, so the scale is actually correct. But for whatever reason, I was kind of expecting, I guess, based on the price, a bigger figure. And so I totally agree with you that the prices on those have gotten somewhat steep. But I love them so much that I'm willing to, pay. I mean, I only get like the G1 characters, and I don't get the repaints, and I don't get, things like that. I just get the basic G1 characters. But they're my favorite Transformer. They're the only Transformer line that I really collect on a regular basis, and so. But I agree with you. The prices have gotten kind of steep. More so. I mean, they were never cheap, but they've gotten more so. It seems like. Prophet says, it isn't required for me. I don't care if hype persons didn't enjoy the show. 8 episodes or episode 8 refocused. See, and again, and the people who keep trying to say, well, it's your fault for being overhyped. Well, again, that's for me why I didn't like it is only part of the reason. I also just didn't like how they ended it with Wanda and such. So it is, even setting aside that I felt like there should have been more, I just did not like what they did with Wanda in the series. And I view it, I look at WandaVision as one thing. I don't look at it really as individual episodes. There were definitely some highlights in the show that I liked. Don't get me wrong. And again, I don't think WandaVision was horrible. It's not like, oh my God, this is unwatchable. The first 3 episodes started to kind of border on that for me, but I definitely, overall thought there were some good things in the show. But I don't really look at it as one episode. I look at it as an entire thing, just like it would if it was like a movie. So the ending of the show to me made it the whole thing essentially a disappointment. And it's not, again, not just because of the hype. It didn't live up to the hype, but because I didn't like how they ended up treating the character and expecting us to feel sympathy for the character. Like I said, that line from Monica really kind of made me angry a little bit, when she sat there and said, "Oh, they'll never know what you sacrificed." And I really don't. I also really don't get why Hayward was arrested, because he was he, it's still not clear to me that what he was doing with Vision was illegal. I have to feel the government was completely aware of that. They made it pretty clear that Vision was the government's property, which is why they weren't going to just let Wanda bury him, all that vibranium. And all he did was essentially, reactivate a Vision bot and then sent it in to stop what was essentially a crazy woman who had taken an entire town hostage. So I guess you might, they threw that scene at the end where he opened fire and I guess at the kids to make him more like a villain, but that was kind of a weak thing. And overall, I really didn't see what justification there would have been for arresting him. And really, it was more, Monica and the others who were breaking orders and kind of went rogue, where if this was real life, I think would have been the ones actually being arrested. Of course, who knows how many of them were actually real people and how many of them were scrolls. So I don't know. What's up, X? All right, I miss Kaz's question that I guess he stole from Warlock. I'm trying to backtrack. Other than he said, the MPs are overpriced. So. Jim wants an Arcade1Up. Well, my recommendation is wait until the new one, the X-Men side scroller, that has the one that's gonna have the X-Men and Avengers side scroller game. That's kind of like allows you to play 4 players, like the turtle one here. That's the one I'd recommend getting, unless you're just like really super into Street Fighter or something. But they're cool. I mean, they're getting pricey. They started out cheaper. It used to be they ran about 300 or so. Now they're up in the $500 range. So they're definitely pricey, but I like them. They're cool. They're not like fun to play. I mean, you know, just take time during your day to take some time out and blow off some steam playing a quick game. But you know, they also make cool display pieces too. So you can put your action figures on them and stuff. So I like them. But I'm gonna get that. I definitely. Well, I'm still waiting for them to like give pricing information and everything on that X-Men and Avengers side scroller one. But that one I'm almost definitely gonna get. But then that's gonna be it. I don't think I would get any more. Rick says he violated the Sokovia Accords. Yeah, maybe. I mean, they did throw that one little line in one of the earlier episodes, but again, I mean, Wanda knew where the body was. So it wasn't like it was a top secret where the body was being hidden. And Wanda even just left after she saw that, you know, Vision was actually dead. She just left. It wasn't like, you know, she was like, you can't have this body or anything. So she seemed to be perfectly okay with it at that time. And then, you know, so, you know, Wakanda, I mean, Vision's body was in Wakanda when he was killed. So the Wakandans had to have known with all that vibranium where it was going to end up at. So it's just, I don't know. They should have, I think, maybe done a little better job of flushing that out, but Warhawk, do you think the Transformer masterpieces have become stupidly overpriced? 449.99 for the Optimus and now 265 for Starscream. Uh, I would not pay. I already have Optimus and Starscream. Again, I don't buy all the multiples. You know, I got the original Optimus Prime that they did, and then I got the updated one that was more of an incorrect scale with all the others. But like you know, they seem to release a new Optimus every year, so I don't have all those. But no, I don't. I wouldn't pay $500 for an Optimus Prime. 265 if I didn't have Starscream, I might. But again, I mean, like I said, the RC was like $130, I believe. So, and that was, you know, kind of that hurt a little bit. So, I'm not thrilled with the prices on them. But fortunately, there's only like one that, you know, you only get one a year, and I like them enough. But you know, I will probably have to think hard on whether I get Skids or not, just because he's not a favorite character of mine, and you know, I'm sure he's going to probably cost $130 or what have you, just like the RC. So if they do Jazz, I definitely would pay, you know, $140 for Jazz. But you know, when it comes to Skids, and especially if I was just starting out in the line, I probably wouldn't. But I'll have to see. But I mean, the question, do I like the prices? No, I don't like the prices any more than you guys. Jerry says he got his Starscream at Walmart in 2008. Well, I assume that's the Hasbro one. The Hasbro ones are always cheaper because they're not imports. You know, remember the Takara ones are technically imports, so that's part of the price. Is the fact that they're just import toys. But I do think, you know, the price is getting much higher on them, and that's probably making it harder for more people to collect them. So I have to assume that probably less people are collecting them, not more people. Which makes it odd why they chose to do such a random obscure character like Skids. Um, I don't know why they went with something like that. Classic action figure. We need MP Galvatron. I would agree, but I figured we were never going to see an MP Galvatron, so I actually ended up getting a third party Galvatron, which is really nice. I forget which company did it off the top of my head, but I opted in, and because I like Galvatron so much, I ended up getting a third party. I don't normally buy the third party stuff, but sometimes when it's a character where I don't think Takara is ever going to get around to it, I have dabbled a little bit with the third party stuff. I have a third party Reflector, which is pretty good because again, I didn't think we were ever going to get Reflector, and I wanted to round out my original Decepticons. So I got a third party Receptor, the camera, the three guys that transform into the camera, and then like I said, I did pick up a third party Galvatron. Dazzling me, what's up? Kaz2323. I think Triclops is hard to find. I assume maybe we're talking He-Man. Sorry, I'm missing some of these conversations. But if we're talking about Masters of the Universe Origins and the Triclops, that wave's just starting to hit. I think Target stores have started to get them in. So I haven't seen them yet. Target actually has them up on their website, but they're not available for purchase. I don't know if they will become available for purchase, but I mean, you can pre-order those at Big Bad Toy Store. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. Um, I'm kind of with the origin stuff. I'm gonna get Triclops and Hordak. I might get Ninjor if I happen to see him, and I guess Stratos. Stratos is not one of my favorite characters, but he is one of the originals, so I probably will end up getting him. But I don't know. My interest in the origin stuff is kind of winding down a little bit. I'm not gonna get the Land Shark because it doesn't come with a figure, and it was never like a favorite vehicle of mine or anything. So I don't think I'll get that. Um, I I don't know if I'd get the Target 2 pack, the exclusive 2 pack with the, Skeletor and Trapjaw, before they became Skeletor and Trapjaw. So, and we've got the Masterverse that's going to be coming out later this year. So I feel like that's going to end up holding my interest more than the Origin stuff. Quinn says you can also pre-order at Quinn's Comics. Quinn, you guys should sponsor on the site, then I could mention you every week. Uh, Daz Limey says that they're currently sold out on Big Bad Toy Store. Yeah, I think I did see that, but my guess is they'll get some more, like when they actually start to get them in stock. Maybe, I don't know. The thing about the Masters of the Universe Origins is like I see now, like anytime I go into Target or Walmart, all I see on the pegs are Skeletor and He-Man. And that brings back flashbacks of the old 2000X line when all you could ever find was He-Man and Skeletor. You couldn't find any of the other characters. So, and I think this goes to, this is how the stores order. Like, because nobody's buying the Skeletor and He-Man, they're going to become less and less interested in ordering the other less known characters and stuff. And so, and I guess they're sitting on shelves because kids aren't like buying them in great numbers and stuff. The collectors have already gotten their He-Man and Skeletors. So everything left out there is what normally the kids would be buying. And, I don't know. It worries me a little bit when I see so many He-Man and Skeletor figures sitting on the shelves because again, that's exactly what happened with the 2000X line, which eventually died out um, because retailers weren't interested in carrying it anymore. Plastic Fortress. Yes, technically the Origins line should continue along with the Masterverse line. Um, but all of that's dependent on sales. So if nobody's buying the Origin stuff, I wouldn't expect the Origin stuff to last much longer. But technically, yes, Mattel plans on, if assuming sales hold, we'll continue both lines. Of course, keep in mind we've got 2 cartoons coming. Maybe one day we'll see a new live action movie, though I won't hold my breath on that. But definitely we've got 2 Netflix, a CGI series and an animated series coming. So I'm sure Mattel and retailers are hopeful that's going to revitalize interest beyond just the adult collector, and get more kids into buying the stuff. Jerry says he got 3 Cobra infantry troopers for $10 each from Walgreens. Were they having a sale? That's a pretty low price for GI Joe classified figures. I've gone into Walgreens a couple times, but I've yet to see any GI Joe classified figures at my local Walgreens. So Lord Vanguard says makes no sense that they haven't put Mando on disc. I would assume that would be a big seller. That is true. I'm sure it would, but keep in mind, I assume you're talking about the Mandalorian on like putting it on Blu-ray, and I'm sure eventually they will. But keep in mind, they're using shows like The Mandalorian to entice people into subscribing to their Disney Plus streaming service. So if they put it out on Blu-ray and DVD, then you wouldn't have a need to go subscribe to the service. So again, I'm sure eventually they will put it out there on Blu-ray, but they're probably going to hold it for a little bit because again, they're hoping your desire to see The Mandalorian is greater than waiting, a super long time for it to come out on Blu-ray and that you go sign up for Disney Plus. Thousand Wolves says I gave up on GI Joe Classified. I mean, I don't think you're alone in that, which is a shame because it's a really awesome line. But yeah, as long as Hasbro keeps doing the Target exclusives and as long as Target keeps making them hard to get, people are going to lose interest. Same thing with the NECA Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figures. I had been hopeful when we saw like the Baxter and the Splinter, had become fairly widely available. I was hopeful that that meant, that would become the norm for the turtle figures, but it's looking more and more like that's not the case. Uh, Randy on the NECA Twitter account this week said that there wasn't going to be any restocks for the Krang, the Rat King box set or the April box set anytime soon because there's too much new stuff in the pipeline coming for them to reissue the old stuff. And my thing is, now the only thing I'm missing from Turtles, I've been lucky, um, is the Rat King box set. But my thing is, how do you expect people to get excited for the new stuff if they can't find the stuff that's currently out or the old stuff? Now, some things like the Turtles, I mean, they're reissuing the Turtles in that box set, so you'll have another chance to get the Turtles. And my guess is they'll periodically find ways to release the 4 Turtles. But still, if you can't get April, if you can't get core characters like April, if you can't get core characters like Casey Jones, if you can't get, some of the main bad guys like the Rat King, I mean, it's just it's hard to stay interested and just I mean, while I've been lucky, I say I've been lucky and the only thing I don't have right now is the Rat King set, but it's not like I just easily went out and found them. Most of the stuff somebody, found for me and sold me at cost and I had to pay shipping and everything. And they, I was fortunate enough that they picked them up for me. But, uh, you know, it's a pain in the ass to try and collect this line. And so I'm just like with GI Joe Classified, I'm sure a lot of people have just turned away from it because it's not worth the frustration. So I'm sure these companies are aware of that. I don't think this is anything they're oblivious to, but as I've talked about many many times, when it comes with these store exclusives, it's the retailers who keep demanding the Walmarts and the Targets that keep demanding the exclusives, yet at the same time seemingly are refusing to stock them in any real numbers, um, because they don't want to be left with unsold merchandise. You know, going back to the Turtles, it's great that that Baxter and Splinter set is so readily available, still available for purchase online. but that likely means that Target's going to end up, with a lot of unsold merchandise with that one, which I'm sure they're not happy about. So while it was great for us, it wasn't great for them, and probably not going to incentivize them to carry other two packs in that large of quantity, going forward. And yes, going back to the GI Joe Classified, as I often say, other than the Target exclusives, if you're willing to buy online, if you're willing to pre-order them, what have you, they're not that difficult to get. It's only the Target exclusives that are super hard to get. And even those, we see, like the Cobra Trooper gets reissued and stuff. So I'm sure the Viper will as well. Seen some indications Baroness might end up getting a reissue on a single pack without the bike. So I don't know. GI Joe class, when you compare GI Joe Classified and NECA's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, to me, the GI Joe Classified is much easier to collect than the Turtles. There's a select few of the GI Joe figures that are very difficult to get, but like the Turtles, almost every figure in that line has been difficult to get. So Jeff, any news on the next Batman Beyond McFarlane figure coming out? You mean, I assume you mean like the second Target exclusive one? Yeah, I mean, he gave dates. I don't have them off the top of my head, but like we reported on TNI, he actually, if I remember correctly, actually gave release dates. So, um, I forget what the date was on the second one, but I think that information is out there. So now, of course, this week we got, I'm sure a lot, if you're into the DC Multiverse stuff, you're probably aware that the Green Lantern wave, the John Stewart Green Lantern wave that has the Bizarro figure and the Nightwing, the Joker Nightwing figure, that started hitting Target stores out in California this week, and that hasn't even gone up for pre-order. They did announce the wave, a couple weeks ago, with like just one image of each figure, but they haven't gone up for pre-order, and we haven't like gotten detailed official images. But those figures are actually hitting shelves now, at least out in California. So Quinn Comics, Baroness is supposed to see a re-release with gold accents on her armor. I would I've seen the listings where that use code names where I think people are matching up the code name with the same code name that they used with the Target exclusive Baroness, which is why we're assuming that there is a Baroness coming. But anyone who says they know exactly what the figure looks like, I mean, I don't think there's been any real images of the figure that have popped up. So I don't know. I won't say it's impossible, but I would take anyone describing how the actual figure is going to look with a grain of salt. But again, based on listings, based on the code words that they're using and stuff, I have seen where it looks like there is going to be a single card Baroness released. YFZ says, so how many Masters of the Universe lines is there going to be in 2021? Uh, Looks like three, I think. At least by 2022. I don't know if all three will start this year, but there's going to be Masters of the Universe Origins. Then there's going to be the Masterverse figures. And then there's going to be figures based on the second uh, Netflix series, which is the CGI series. So we don't have a lot of details on those yet. We saw the He-Man and Battle Cat that was shown during the Mattel Investor Day thing, but like we don't know exactly what scale those are going to be or anything like that. So, but I would say it looks like there's going to be about three different Masters of the Universe lines here within the next year. Hash Night 1. Any idea when the Hal Jordan Green Lantern will be released? Well, that's what I was just saying a few minutes ago. It's actually hitting Target stores now. So now, when is it going to go up for pre-order or be available online? I don't have any specific date, info, but just guessing, being that they're starting to hit stores now, my guess is we'll probably see them pop up on Target maybe next week sometime. We just saw the unmasked Batman figure Flashpoint Batman figure with Thomas Wayne head sculpt pop up there on Target this weekend. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we see, and that was announced about the same time that they announced the Green Lantern wave. So I wouldn't be surprised if next week some point Target, and they'll show up at Target first. They're not Target exclusives, but McFarlane gives the big box retailers and more now Target first crack at stuff. So but again, I wouldn't be surprised if we see that pop up online, at least as a pre-order or something, next week on the Target website. And Walmart tomorrow, the 15th, is doing a new collector thing. You may remember they did that last year. So Hasbro's got some exclusives, the Ghostbuster figures. So we'll pop over here. So I'm sure you guys probably caught this last week, but I'm gonna scroll down and find it. So yeah, there's that unmasked Batman figure that went out for pre-order on the Target website this weekend. Can't say that head sculpt looks too good. I don't know. I don't think that really looks like Thomas Wayne. I might be wrong, but so Hasbro announced these Ghostbuster figures, and they put these little videos up. So you got the Ecto one, and these are in the same scale as those real Ghostbuster figures they released as Walmart exclusives last year. I'm assuming we'll have the same kind of retro packaging and everything. But these are going to go up for pre-order tomorrow on Walmart's website around 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And then those vintage collection Star Wars figures that they announced in a live stream, like a month ago, the Lando and the Endor Leia and the Ewok, those are going to go up for pre-order. Those are Walmart exclusives. And then there was the announcement of the Transformers vintage Beast War figures, where they essentially repainted the Beast War figures. So Optimus Primal with his classic colors, Megatron. Yeah, these are the same figures they just released, but now they've got more of the classic toy colors and packaging. So those are going to be Walmart exclusives as well, and those are going to go up for pre-order tomorrow. I'm not really into Beast Wars, as I've said multiple times before, but I gotta say, I kind of think these are cool. I get the appeal of them, even though, again, they're pretty much just repaints. But, if you collected the old Beast Wars toys, I think these are kind of cool. And they even come with vintage packaging and stuff, so always going for that nostalgia factor. And then I wouldn't be surprised. There's been no announcement on it from McFarlane, but I wouldn't be surprised, because they participated in the Walmart Collector Con thing last year. So I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow some of those new gold label figures, like the gold Reverse Flash, or not Reverse Flash, but the Red Death figure that they're doing in gold, that one, the Spawn figure, the repainted Spawn figure, and maybe a few others that they've announced for the gold label collection. I wouldn't be surprised if those don't end up going up for pre-order tomorrow as well. Again, we haven't heard anything official on that from McFarlane, but I would totally not be surprised if we see those become available tomorrow as well. And again, that should be around 1 p.m. is when the stuff is supposed to go live on Walmart. Though I remember last year they kind of were late, so I say 1 p.m.-ish. Sometimes they go up early, sometimes they go up late. Hey Blake, what's up? We've just been talking random action figures mostly. We also talked a little WandaVision. Oh yeah, your name... I guess there was a glitch because it popped up not like the official thing from YouTube, but like the little thing I had set up where it reads people's names out for donations, and for some reason, I guess it was thinking you were donating $50 or something. But Warhawk Legend 69, Walmart pre-orders suck. Yeah, they do. Even if you get the pre-order in, half the time Walmart cancels your order, or then they send it in an envelope and it gets all beat up. Sorry guys, I always forget to flip back to the other screen. Yeah, it literally, it just randomly popped up and said your name, and I'm like, I didn't even think you're on because I hadn't seen your name come up, and I was like, and like the YouTube thing, usually if there's a super chat donation will reflect it, and even before the thing reads it, and it was like, what? Yeah, Blake, it said you donated $1 million, so I'm afraid you're gonna have to. Just kidding. CM Brock says he's had his pre-orders canceled at least twice. Yeah, I had, I forget what it was. It was a Star Wars item, I think, but it got canceled. But then, oh no, I think it was Masters of the Universe, and it got canceled. No, it was it was one or the other, but it got canceled, and then like 3 hours later, it got listed for pre-order again on the wall. Oh, it was Star Wars because it was the Mandalorian figure with the baby Yoda, which I guess originally didn't come with a coin and then came with a coin. I don't know, but it canceled my pre-order that I had pre-ordered the first time it went up. Um, and then like that same day that it canceled the pre-order, they relisted the figure again, and I was able to grab it again, and did end up getting it. But yeah, it's a weird. What's up, Noob Master? So I don't know. Tonight I'm kind of letting you guys lead the conversation. So if you got questions or want more details about something, let me know. Well, we already talked about it a little bit, and I did talk about this in a news video earlier in the week. But let's flip you guys over to the other screen. So, if you're not aware, we got the listings for the Masters of the Universe Masterverse Wave 1 figures. And these listings come from the e-tailer Zavvi, which is primarily an overseas retailer, but they do have a U.S. division. And these are actually listed up on the U.S. website. So for regular figures, and it looks like the price has gone up. Originally when Hasbro announced these, they said they were going to be $19.99 when they announced them at PowerCon last year. But I think I even talked about this, that I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the price go up on these. And Zavvi's listing the regular figures with a $25 price tag, and so we're getting He-Man, Skeletor, Spikor. Spikor is like a weird one. It's like, wow, Spikor is getting a figure before like Trapjaw and Triclops and stuff. Tila is not surprising. I think Tila is going to have a big role in the new cartoon. I guess all of these are going to be based on the new Kevin Smith series. So Evelyn, Beastman, and then that oversized Skeletor is listed. Oh, and Mossman. So we've talked about most of these. We saw these images. This, the Skeletor, the He-Man, and Battle Cat, and the Evil Lyn figure that popped up on that Investor Day event that Mattel held a couple weeks ago. So we'd seen that, and then we saw the little blurry image of the oversized Skeletor with the horns. So that looks like was definitely legit. And then Mossman, we saw this image pop up months ago, so it's looking pretty much like that's legit as well. So we still haven't seen the others, but I'm guessing sooner or later Mattel will get around to revealing those. And the Skeletor is going to cost $30, and then the Battle Cat's got a hefty price. I don't know what they're kind of thinking with this Battle Cat being $40. That seems really high. Now, I won't say, I think this is going to be the general price for these figures, but I won't say 100%. But and I have confirmed these listings with additional sources, so these do seem to be all pretty legit. And then the other thing is that it looks like Walmart's going to get first crack at these. So starting in around June timeframe is when I would expect to start seeing them pop up at Walmart stores. And then late August, September is when everyone else will be able to start taking pre-orders and start getting them in stock and stuff. So, just, a current trend that I think sucks, but unfortunately it's just become the way of things that the big box retailers get first crack at everything, and then everyone else can try and sell the stuff. Quinn's Comics. Do I think the price increase will end up making more figures peg warmers? I don't know. I mean, like I said, we're going back to the Origins line. I'm seeing a lot of Skeletor and He-Mans and Battle Cats and Panthers, warm the pegs. So like the secondary characters, which I don't think are getting shipped as in large numbers, are selling through, but stores are being left with a lot of He-Man and Skeletor. So I wouldn't be surprised. And that's, again, going back to the 2000X line, that's exactly what happened with that line, where nobody could find the secondary characters, and every time you go into Walmart, all you would find are He-Man and Skeletor. So I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing the same thing with the Masterverse line. Now, I think a large part of it's going to be, will the Netflix series be able to reach kids, or is it only going to be the diehard, Masters of the Universe collectors who grew up on He-Man, who are going to tune into this new cartoon? I don't know. I think the general line of thought from the toy companies and the retailers is that these shows will open up the property to new, younger audiences. But whether that actually pans out or not, I think we'll just have to wait and see. Let's see. All figures considered. Next to your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade, is that comic books or vinyl records? Thanks. I don't know exactly where. If you're talking about here, these are actually just cardboard backdrops that I use for toy photography and stuff. I do have comic books up, like in the back. Those are comics. I don't have any vinyl records, so whatever you're looking at, it's not a record. But I do have I have comic books hanging around, and then these things here, these are just cardboard backdrops and stuff for reviews and toy photography and stuff. CM Brock says, kids aren't buying these toys, especially with ones that came out when we were young. Well, that's true. But again, that's why when these properties, I mean, the only reason we're seeing He-Man on shelves again, the only reason why Mattel took the Masters of the Universe license back in-house from Super 7 is because these cartoons are coming to, Netflix. And with that, there's this hope, I think, that that's going to open these properties up to younger audiences, not just the kid, or not just us old fogies who grew up on Masters of the Universe. If they were just expecting these to only be bought by us, Super 7 would still be doing, Masters of the Universe classics. I have little doubt of that. So it's the idea that these properties like the cartoons and stuff are gonna open up. Same thing with GI Joe. The only reason why we're seeing GI Joe on shelves again is because of the coming movie, and now obviously the live action TV series with Lady J that they just announced on Amazon. But it's those things that are pushing these things, allowing them to come back on shelves. And it's because this idea that these properties are going to bring back, younger audiences, not just the adult action figure collector. Because as much as it sucks, as much as I hate to say, they just don't see enough numbers. Devin in the house with a super chat donation of $2. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Will Mafex Hush Superman drop in price? It's $200. I I I would have to pull out my crystal ball to be able to really answer that. I would say that that's probably one of the more popular Mafex figures. So unless it gets reissued, I wouldn't expect it to drop too much in price. Those Jim Lee Batman figures I think are pretty hot. So, but again, I can't I can't say for 100%, but do appreciate the donation. Blake says, "Yeah, Jay, you should do another toy tour, but upstairs this time." I probably will do that. Though I gotta be honest, I've been putting more effort and time. I've been spending more time down here, and so I've been doing more down here than upstairs. But but yeah, I may do that here in the near future. I put up, I posted images the other week on Facebook, but I used to do this as a kid. I would hang up my comic books all on the wall. My parents hated it, but I pulled out some old, I don't actively collect comic books these days, but I used to be huge into comic books. So I pulled out old, some old stuff, mostly from the 90s and stuff. Um, and started hanging them up around here. So, back here you can see that. I don't know how clear it is, so you probably can't make out individual issues from what you can see here, but that's what those are back there. Michael says, "When will the McFarlane Suicide Squad figures be released?" Well, that doesn't come out, I think, until later in the year, so, be closer to the movie. It looks like the Justice League figures are going to come out around June time frame, so um, I wouldn't expect the Suicide Squad stuff. We'll probably, depending on when trailers and stuff really start to drop for the movie, probably wouldn't even start to see real images and stuff for that until the summertime, maybe July timeframe, and then the figures will probably be out in the fall. And those overseas retailers that started taking pre-orders for those, they probably, I don't remember off the top of my head, but if you do a Google search, they usually will come up, and they usually give release dates. I wouldn't necessarily accept those in concrete, but they'll probably give you a general idea. Ken Rice, any D&D figure news? So I was able to confirm from Diamond Select Toys that let me, in case you're not aware. So Diamond Select Toys the other day put out an official press release saying that they were going to be doing Hasbro stuff, including Dungeons and Dragons, and they specifically mentioned the animated series stuff that they would be doing. Now, it wasn't clear exactly what, though. Diamond Select Toys does a number of different types of things: statues, 7-inch select figures, mini mates, things like that. So I did get them to confirm for me that when it comes to the Hasbro stuff properties that they're going to be working on, don't expect any 7-inch scale action figures. So Dungeons and Dragons for them, while some of it will be animated series based, I would expect it to be statues, busts, maybe mini mates. They didn't give me specifics, but they did essentially say that if it wasn't mentioned in the press release, and 7-inch select figures were not mentioned in the press release, then they wouldn't be doing it. So As far as will we see, some type of 7 or 6 inch scale action figure? Well, I think it's still possible with the movies and stuff coming, either from Hasbro themselves or WizKids also recently announced that they were going to be doing some type of action figures for Dungeons and Dragons, working with Hasbro. So, which WizKids is owned by NECA Toys. They primarily do gaming stuff, but they're branching out, I guess, into actual action figures with the D&D. Now I have no idea what scale. I don't know if they would do any animated series stuff. They haven't given any kind of specifics on that, but they did say that they were going to be doing stuff. So definitely a number of opportunities. Uh, I wouldn't be totally surprised if maybe Super 7 ended up announcing doing something for D&D at some point. Um, but with the movie coming and stuff, again, that's going to really open the door and allow Hasbro and companies to do more with D&D. And I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't some at least limited line of collector oriented action figures based on the 80s animated series. Lord Vengar says, I got his hopes up several days ago about getting D&D figures from Diamond. Then you crushed them with your last video. No Vengar select for me. Yeah, well, I only speculated because it wasn't 100%. It didn't like say these are only what we're doing, but I did go back and clarify that with them, and they essentially said that. So yeah, it was a little disappointing because they're the only company so far that's like doing anything D&D related that specifically mentioned doing animated series figures or product, I should say. So yeah, I kind of got my hopes up too. But again, I do think eventually somebody, whether again it might be Hasbro themselves or they could farm it out to somebody else like Super 7 or WizKids, and we could see figures of those. But we'll have to see. Nick says, all these amazing figures that are coming out, I don't know where I'm going to put them all. No space. I'm with you, man. I I I'm running out of space myself. And I've got that Unicron coming for Transformers. I still don't know where I'm gonna put that thing. Um, and I like a lot of stuff. Like I generally don't keep stuff in the packaging, but like I found that I've been opening less stuff recently, just because I don't know where to put it. I've just kind of run out of space. So I feel you with that. And they're like you can cram them all into some place, but then you don't really see them anyway, and then it's like, yeah, that's no fun. So you got to be able to kind of display them in some way or form so that you can actually enjoy them. And usually that means you've got to switch them out. So like like I have the display back there, which I'll probably switch out eventually and put some newer stuff back there at some point. Same with like up in my main office where I shoot a lot of the news videos and stuff. Marlo Meza says, or Mario, sorry, Meza says, hey Jay, loving the Sunday live streams. What would you say is your favorite brand line to collect lately? Marvel, DC, GI Joe, Star Wars, Turtles, etc. I guess as far as what I look forward to the most right now is probably GI Joe Classified. Now I always dread anytime something becomes a Target exclusive. I've been lucky so far, but it hasn't been easy. Um, I was enjoying the turtle stuff from NECA, but it's kind of getting to the point where, especially as we're getting into lesser known characters, like I'm not super into like the frogs, so I'm not gonna worry if I don't end up getting the frog sets. If I don't see them in stores, I'm not gonna bother getting them. So for me, the NECA stuff is maybe kind of winding down a little bit. I still want to try and get the Rat King 2 pack. But I'm definitely not going to pay secondary market prices for it, and so we'll have to see if we talked a little bit about this earlier, but we'll have to see if NECA ends up restocking those at any point down the road. Doesn't look like it's going to be anytime soon though. Marvel, I always like the Marvel Legend stuff though. Is there so much of it that comes out, I have found myself getting more picky and choosy over what I get. So like I pre-order. I have in my pile of loot at Big Bad Toy Store. I have some of the Stiltman figures, um, and I'm debating on whether to get the Power of X-Men wave. I'm kind of waffling back and forth on those. So definitely, like I said, as there's so much stuff that comes out, not just Marvel, even though there's a ton of Marvel stuff that comes out, I have found myself having to be a little more choosier with what I get. I can't just buy it. Unfortunately, I can't just buy everything. I don't have the money, and then as we just talked about a minute ago, space is also becoming an issue of, what's the point of buying it if you can't really display it very well. So, but those I would say are my top lines that I've really kind of been focusing on right now is GI Joe, Marvel, and the NECA Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff. Nick says I like to keep most of them in the packaging because of the artwork and stuff. Yeah, I mean that is. I still prefer and I've talked about this before. I love the artwork on a lot of the recent Transformer stuff. So I actually have, while I opened them because I love the figures too, I've actually kept the packaging and have them like hung up on the wall and stuff as artwork and stuff. So like the Predaking box that they did recently, the Omega Supreme one, the Jetfire, I loved that artwork on those. So that's some of my favorite packaging art going right now. Others like, Marvel Legends. I mean, I do have like a shelf here where I have kind of set up as like books, featuring the side artwork of stuff that I haven't opened or have extras of or what have you. But I still, in general, would rather open most of my Marvel Legends and have a place to display them. Same thing with like the Star Wars Black Series stuff. I guess that's another line that I've been fairly actively collecting, especially like the Mandalorian stuff. I've been trying to definitely get. I don't get like all the exclusives. I haven't gotten all the Gaming Greats exclusives and things like that. But definitely like the Mandalorian stuff. I've been trying to keep track on. I've got the latest wave with Bo-Katan on pre-order at Big Bad Toy Store, so I'm waiting for that to come in. But yeah, some artwork is better than others, but in general, I try and open my stuff if I can. And I've also, like, when I get stuff that piles up and I end up like putting into storage and stuff over the years, generally, and as I've moved from place to place, I'm pretty, I've lived here for quite a long time, but there was definitely when I was younger where I would move a number of different times, and stuff would always end up getting beat up or crushed or bent up and stuff. So it's very difficult when you have like boxes of toys to keep them mint in the box and everything. Jay Willis, my lady ordered GIJoe Roadblock for me from Amazon, and I was able to get the gold deco one, score. So you got the original one. That, like, I kind of feel like those might be worth holding on to in the package. I mean, I've already opened mine, so I'm not gonna worry about it. But if I had those unopened, I'd probably keep those, the Wave One classified figures, because I have a feeling those will be harder to get in the long run. Roadblock is probably going to be the easiest to get out of the first wave, just because I think he has probably sold the less than the others. But and you know, and I'm basing that on just when I talked to retailers telling me that they still had stock of Roadblock and stuff. So, but definitely, especially like, even like, I guess the Snake Eyes has a small variation with where they remove the red, which I don't. I mean, I'm sure as far as price guides go, that would be, listed as the original would probably be worth more than the one without the red, but that's where I start to draw the line. It's like that's such a small little difference. All right, now it's telling me somebody else donated. Unless that was the... Okay, that was just Devin. So that... God, that was a long delay. I don't know why it's being screwy tonight. Anyway, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, with those GI Joe classified. So yeah, if I had them, or maybe even if I saw them on shelf, I wouldn't pay a lot of extra money for them at this point. But if I happen to see them on shelves, I might buy them. I don't know. Raw Talk says he's purging 85% of his collection. Just fatigue at this point. I love GI Joe and McFarlane, but if we don't stop with Batman fetish, Todd has that line will kill itself too. Yeah, I have not delved deep into the McFarlane DC stuff. I've been mostly sticking to I've got the Batman, I've got the first Batman and Superman figures. I've got the Flash. I did get both the regular single Flash and then the 2-pack with the Red Death just because I like that design. But I didn't get any of the other metal figures. The Red Death one is the only metals figure that I've gotten. And I've got the Damian Robin that should be arriving this week. So I've got that one, and I'm gonna get the Green Lantern, the John Stewart Green Lantern. But I'm kind of with you there. I mean, I understand that there are definitely people out there who really dig all these variations of Batman and stuff. So I'm not, if you like that, that's cool. But for me, I definitely have not been as interested in the McFarlane DC stuff as I would have liked to have been, just because I tend to like the more regular based characters, not all these variations from these storylines, especially since they're storylines which I really haven't read. So, like I said, if they ever give us, Nightfall Batman figures, those I'd probably be all over. Maybe Death of Superman figures, give us Superboy, Vindicator, those guys. Doomsday, those I would be probably all over. But for the most part, I wish we were getting more in the way of just regular, DC characters. Now we've got Hal Jordan. It's coming in a 2-pack, which if he's coming in a 2-pack, he's going to end up getting a single release as well. There's indications we're getting a Dr. Fate figure, so that'll be one that I'd be interested in checking out. So, and part of me is not super unhappy because if I wanted to get every single McFarlane DC figure, I mean that would be very expensive. So part of me is almost glad that they're kind of parsing out some of those figures, and that I'm not feeling a need to buy them all. Jay Willis, what's your thoughts on the black suit Spider-Man? I bought Soups 1000 for my display. Or I'm sorry, Superman, not Spider-Man. Um, and thinking I need this one too. So out of those Justice League Snyder Cut figures, the Superman is probably my least favorite, the black suit one, just because I don't think the likeness is very good. The figure itself, like the body and the texturing on the suit and everything, based on the images that we've seen, looks good. I don't think that looks much like Henry Cavill to me. So I don't know. I haven't decided if I'm gonna get those figures or not. If I end up watching the Snyder Cut Justice League next week and I'm like super hyped and stuff, then I'll probably be more incentivized to get those. But I don't know. I haven't made up my mind on those. But based on the images that we've seen, that black costume Superman is probably my least favorite, just because again I feel like the likeness is off. Aquaman is a little bit off too, so that's probably my next least favorite, and maybe even Aquaman's my least favorite just because I do like Superman a little better than Aquaman. But my point being is I'm a little disappointed in the likenesses for some of those figures, based on movie figures that we see today. I feel like I'm assuming they're probably not using like any kind of photoreal technology. They're probably just sculpting, which is just not is it's not going to give you as real of a likeness for a real life character. So my guess is that's why it is. But What's up, Toy Chase? Michael, any news on Black Series Boba Fett from The Mandalorian? No, I mean, again, that's almost a given, but I've not heard anything specific as of yet. So, but next month is going to be I think it's going to be a big month of reveals for Hasbro. So, who knows? Maybe they'll slip that in. Nick says all the good figures disappear so quickly from store shelves. Yeah, and I mean, that's the other thing. I hardly buy any action figures at physical stores these days. Now I live in a really crappy area that never, the local Target and Walmart in my area just does not stock stuff very well. And then of course there are scalpers here too, so you have to be there as soon as they put something out if you want any. All right, I think this is real. The Krang Rebellion. What's up, man? Thank you for the donation. Do I own any Mythic Legions? Amazing quality for the price point, in my opinion. Great stream as always. I do not have any of the Four Horsemen figures. I've seen them in person at like the conventions. I've drooled over them. I've taken many photos of them again at the conventions and stuff. But I've never ended up buying any of them. But I think they're great figures, and there have been some that I was really tempted to get. Like I think there was one I was gonna get, and then it sold out. The eagle with like the American flag and stuff that they did a while back. But I do not own any of them. But not because I think they're bad figures or anything. It's just again limited money, space, time, all that stuff is why I haven't got them. Martinez says he loves physical stores. Well, you know, there is, an aspect of the toy hunt that I, used to like and enjoy when you go out and, had a reasonable expectation of finding what you were looking for. You wouldn't always find what you were looking for, but you at least had a reasonable expectation. But now in my area, I have next to no expectation. If I actually find something on a physical shelf, I'm flabbergasted. It's like a total shock. But I always go into the store expecting not to find anything, and 9 times out of 10, I don't. Now, I don't go hunting every day. I don't get up every day at the crack of dawn to try and be there. I don't, I'm not into that. I don't have the time for that anymore. So I'm not willing to do those level of things that some people seem to be willing to do in order to find figures. If I happen to be going into Target, anytime I go into Target or Walmart, I obviously, my first stop is the toy aisle, but I don't generally, unless I have an idea that something's going to be there, I don't generally go out of my way to look for action figures anymore. Because, like I said, 9 times out of 10, I don't find it. So I've just learned to buy online mostly, whether it's Amazon, whether it's Big Bad Toy Store, what have you. So I would say 95% of the action figures I buy today are now online. And I wish stores would stock more. I wish, and some stores are better than others. If you live in an area like, where you're near like the ports, like out in California and stuff, you're going to have a much better chance of finding a new product on the shelves. 9 times out of 10, when you see guys, posting up all these images of their finds and stuff, you can bet that they live in an area that's more conducive to getting better stock in. That's why I always kind of laugh. Like I always see like when NECA Toys will post images of like Walmarts or Targets that are well stocked. And I mean, that's great, but I'm like, that's like 1 or 2 stores in the entire country, a small handful of the stores in the entire country. Whereas I'm willing to bet that most of them are still not super well stocked. So, and I know my stores are not super well stocked. So I know when I go into my Walmart and my Target, I'm going to be lucky if I see any figures like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the shelf. So I barely even try these days. So I like a toy hunt, but I don't like having to get up in the, getting up every morning or, whatever, trying to learn the times of when they're going to unload stuff on the truck, all that, all those hoops and hurdles that some people, do to be able to buy this stuff. It's just, to me, that's more trouble than it's worth. Toy Chase says so many good websites to buy and pre-order. Target and Walmart are horrible. CM Brock, my city is often called Port City, and my stores have almost nothing. Well, usually the stuff, California, a lot of the toys come in, in the ports in California. I think down in like the Texas area, you often see a lot of stuff show up in that area. So those ports as well. Those seem to be the main, toy ports. And I'm just basing that on, you know, whenever you see people reporting finding things, it's usually either California or like the Texas area are generally where things start to show up. And then, of course, they slowly make their way across the country. And some places are better than others. Some places are closer to hubs, because it doesn't go necessarily directly from the ships that they come in, from outside the country to the stores. They go to warehouses and things like that. So, and there are hubs sprinkled throughout the country for some of this stuff. So that will play a part in it as well. But my area, I live in what would be considered a major metropolitan area, but my area is just horrible for stuff. And it's not just one store or chain, it's all of them. Walmart, Target. I mean, I call it the Bermuda Triangle of action figures because it's like they never seem to show up here. And that's why when I happen to see something at Target or Walmart, even more, because my Walmart is worse than my Target. But if I happen to see something at Walmart, then I'm like, oh, that thing's got to be available everywhere, or it's a peg war. I mean, like when I started seeing the Ghostbuster Plasma Series figures at Walmart every time I went in there, I knew those had become peg warmers. It's just because, if my Walmart has them on a regular basis, then every single Walmart in the country has them on a regular basis. And then they were showing up at Target as well, and it was like, oh, they can't be selling. I mean, I don't have numbers, but I feel like those Ghostbuster figures have not been a huge seller for Hasbro. Andrew says Canada seems to get some figures for, yeah, and I think, and this has been a trend in more recent years, that overseas places are getting stuff before we are. And I think, again, that's because they're maybe located closer to the factories or what have you. But yeah, I mean, 9 times out of 10 these days, you'll see something show up overseas before you even see it hit this country. And Canada definitely has been getting stuff recently as well. Toy Chase says the GIJoe exclusives out of Target need to stop. I wish they would, but I don't think they will. And of course, Hasbro just opened up their UK Pulse website, and we're selling those Target exclusives on the website there. So, I mean, and that to me, I mean, that doesn't make me mad per se, because to me that demonstrates that the figures are there. It's just that Target's not stocking them in any large number. So, that's where I always, when we start talking about these exclusives and who should we be mad at and everything, and everybody will want to yell at Hasbro, which I'm not saying is blameless, but it's because the retailer, I think, is not willing to carry them in any large numbers. It's not that Hasbro is refusing to give them large numbers of the product. And the fact that Hasbro has these figures that they're now selling and able to sell in the UK, because obviously there's no Targets in the UK, so the exclusive agreement between Hasbro and Target is not valid there. So, they can freely sell that stuff there. But again, to me, that just kind of shows that it's Target that is refusing to carry those figures in large numbers for whatever reason. And it's not necessarily Hasbro. Damien says it's time we get a decent Metallo figure. We've had some good ones in the past, but I wouldn't mind seeing a modern, updated one. Thousand Wolves. Cygor is going to be on clearance soon. All those McFarlane figures they did, and it doesn't seem like they're doing any more. So I gotta feel like that maybe wasn't a huge seller either. Um, but those have sat on my Walmart shelves since day one, so I don't think those were super popular. I think the most popular figure in that McFarlane monster line was the Cobra figure, only because GIJoe fans were buying it up so they could use it for their Cobra display with their GIJoe figures. Toy Chase lives in New York City and has Targets, but the scalpers buy as soon as they open. We drive to New Jersey for Walmart. So yeah, I've New York's not a great place to be a toy collector either, because you're right. Um, and every time I go to New York for like Toy Fair or New York Comic Con and I hit up the stores there, they're always empty. So they're as bad as my stores here. So, and you didn't even used to have, it was only recently that Target started to show up in actual Manhattan. For a long while, you didn't even have Targets there. And you don't have Walmarts. You know, you don't have any Walmarts in the city. At least I don't think you do. Well, I'm telling you, if you were choosing where to live simply for collecting action figures, California, I think, is probably the best place to live. Because, I mean, and I'm not saying the entire state, but you want to live out there near the coast, those coast cities. But those guys, those guys are always finding the stuff first. Now, some of them, again, they've got scalpers out there too. And so a lot of those guys, they've learned when the trucks are going to unload and things like that. And, so they're there so that they get first crack at the stuff, but still they get better access than most of the rest of us. Nick says, what state am I? I live in the Washington, D.C. area. So I generally do Maryland and Virginia for my toy hunting. Virginia is a little better than Maryland, but not much. X says, do I think NECA will release the cartoon turtles in lighter colors? I don't know, maybe. They're doing the box set, the Turtles in Disguise box set, and then I remember in an interview recently that Randy did, he mentioned that after the box set, they're actually going to re-release the Turtles a different way. So I guess it's possible those could be with the lighter colors, but I don't know for sure. But I do think there'll be multiple ways to get the Turtles if you missed out on the initial batch, but other characters, I don't know. I says, best place to live is Arizona, Wisconsin, dead states. Steven, what's up, man? Yep, Maryland sucks for action figure collecting. Oh, I didn't realize the time. It's going on 9. So I think we're going to wrap it up here. Let's see. Any news? Michael, didn't you just ask that? Or was that somebody else? No word on Black Series Boba Fett. It's coming, but nothing been officially announced, or I've not seen any indication of that. Damien says, come to Scotland. We have Forbidden Planet and a few comic book stores, so not all that bad. And some of you guys that live overseas, where things that are exclusive to us are not really exclusive to you, so more than one place can carry it. I think you actually get better access for some of that stuff than we do here in the United States. I'm not saying every place, but because again, going back to like the Hasbro UK thing, there's no Targets in the UK, so Hasbro can easily just sell you those directly, whereas they can't do that here because of the agreement they have with Target. Capone Bear, AJ, I pre-ordered the next McFarlane Warhammer figs from GameStop with a March 8th release date, but McFarlane site shows April 21st. I feel lied to. Well, if GameStop still shows, it'll probably end up being something kind of in the middle, but I would probably say the retailer release date is going to be more accurate than what McFarlane has listed. But um, like I said, they may both be wrong, and it'll end up getting released somewhere in the middle there. Toy Chase says New York City has Forbidden Planet. Yeah, but I'm not sure. And I might be wrong on this, but I'm not sure if the Forbidden Planet in New York City is the same Forbidden Planet as overseas, because I think the one in New York City is independently owned. Because I was actually in that store. I think it was 2019. Um, and I want to say that's an independently owned store. So while they have the same name, I don't think they're actually part of the same chain. Hey, Nicholas, you missed a lot. We were showing all kinds of new things. No, I'm just kidding. We've just been kind of chatting pretty laid back tonight, chatting about various things, but Lucky Papa, I wonder if Black Series will release a Jedi Temple Guard army builder. Might be interesting. Haven't heard anything on that, but that would be an interesting figure. I'm looking forward to I can't I kind of want, I don't know. Star Wars, Mandalorian has been holding my most interest, but Lord Venger says if Bean Capital hadn't killed Toys R Us and KB Toys, we would have better access to figs. Well, I would agree with you that if there were more options out there, and Walmart and Target wouldn't have such a monopoly on the industry, or such a tight grip, and so we probably wouldn't be seeing as many exclusives. As far as Toys R Us and KB, while yes, there was some stuff that happened with their debt, the fact is they ran those businesses into the ground where they ended up taking on all that debt and needed the bailouts and stuff. So I don't put it all on things like Bain Capital for the fall of Toys R Us. Toys R Us management had a role in that. So I mean, it's interesting to see the changes that have happened just over the last several years with the fall of Toys R Us, because we have so many exclusives. And if it's not exclusive, it's first dibs. I mean, practically, whether it's NECA, whether it's McFarlane Toys, whether it's Hasbro, you know Mattel, what have you. Walmart and Target pretty much get everything first. Um, and that's got to be hard for the small toy retailers. And, eventually I could see that putting out of business the small retailers, which is very unfortunate. And I don't think would bode well for the hobby if that ends up happening. But again, and I've talked about this many times, you've got to realize that right now Hasbro's biggest customer isn't us, it's Walmart and Target. And they are using that essentially stronghold on the industry to, force these companies to give them all first dibs or exclusives or what have you. Short term, I certainly understand that why they would allow that. Long term, I think it's going to have very negative effects on the overall industry. But I don't know. It's frustrating, but I don't see a Toys R Us ever coming back in this country again. I don't see, you know, small toy retailers ever, becoming more than what they are essentially now. So, I wish I had the answers to how to prevent, how to get these, so that the Walmarts and Targets didn't have such a stronghold, and, we wouldn't be seeing so many exclusives and all that stuff. But, um, it's just kind of the reality of the industry as it is, I guess. Quinn says it makes it difficult for shops like mine when the big box stores get items first. It should be the mom and pop shops that get supported first, not like we're going to hurt their sales. Well, I would agree with you, but if you think about it, and I totally support your idea, so I'm not defending, Walmart and Target, but strictly from a business standpoint, while you specifically, Quinn's Comics, are not going to drastically affect Walmart and Target's bottom line, you've got to realize that it is a small demographic overall, and if you take all the places like Quinn's Comics and, the big bad toy stores and the entertainment earths and all that across the country, then you could maybe see how it might start to eat into the bottom line of a Target and a Walmart. So, they're not gunning for Quinn's Comics, but they're essentially, doing everything in their power to who essentially, maybe not in the exact strictest sense, but in a large way, kind of have a monopoly on the industry. So, and again, when, you're Hasbro, Mattel, so on and so forth, and, your money is primarily coming from the Walmart and Targets, you can't, it's very difficult to sit there and say, no, we're not going to give you these things and do what you want. So it sucks. It sucks big deal. Like I said, I think long term, they're kind of digging a hole that they're eventually not going to be able to get out of. But I don't know how again, I don't know how you fix it. Hey, X, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. But it is, and tried to make this point before, you know, unless it is a store exclusive where you can only buy it at Walmart and Target, I always recommend, if you really hate the exclusives and everything, quit buying from Walmart and Target. Even if it's more convenient, you're better, again, and you're, if we're talking about a store exclusive where you can only buy it at Target, Walmart, and you really want it, I certainly, not saying don't buy it from there. But I am saying that when you can, essentially what I'm saying is when you can, you should try and support the small retailer, not the big box store. So, because the more you support the big box store, the more, the more grip they're going to have. Unfortunately, I think, first of all, it's not realistic to expect every single collector in the world is going to realize that, they're always going to shop for convenience. They're going to go where it's easiest to find something, where they can find it first, where it's cheaper, yada, yada, yada. So if they can walk into their Walmart or Target, they're going to do that instead of like ordering it online from a small retailer. If they can get it cheaper, Walmart and Target, they're going to order it there because it's cheaper. And that's just how the world works. So I could sit here and preach to the cows come home saying don't buy from Walmart and Target, only buy from the small toy retailers that actually cater to the hobby. But at the end of the day, some people might listen, but most people are just going to continue to buy where they find it. And so it's not realistic to expect that every single collector would just quit buying from Walmart and Target or the other big box stores. So it's kind of like the scalper debate. If every single person would just quit buying from scalpers would be out of business and they'd quit scalping. But that's just not realistic to expect that to happen, because again, going back to the convenience factor, some people are just willing to pay 10-20 bucks extra just so they don't have to hunt around for the stuff, even though they're knowing they're buying from a scalper. So while it's nice in theory to say if everyone just quit buying from scalpers, that would do away with the scalper problem, it's just not realistic, because you're just not going to get every single collector on the same page with that type of thing. So all right, so it's after 9, so I think we are going to wrap it up here. But as always, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I think I'm going to keep it for Sundays, just doing the Sunday live streams for now. Next weekend we've got Falcon and Winter Soldier, we've got Justice League Snyder Cut, so we'll probably have a lot of things to talk about next week, including any new toy reveals that happen between now and then. And of course I will continue to do regular news videos throughout the week as always. So and of course, as always, we will have the news up on the websites as well. So but I do appreciate you guys. I was gonna say as always again, I think that would have been the third time. But as always, I do really appreciate you guys and tuning in and everything, supporting the channel, supporting the websites. It's much appreciated. Stay safe out there, guys. Definitely subscribe to the channel, and always like to do my little graphic there. Do please subscribe if you haven't already, and stay safe out there. And until next time, catch you later.
Hey, thanks for watching today's video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification to alerted every time I upload a new video. And be sure to head over to the Toy News International and Marvelous News Message Boards communities. It's a great place to talk toys and win cool contests like $100 store credits to Big Bad Toy Store. And remember, action figures are great.